When you are importing products from China, having less time to get all your products in inventory is as important as finding a very competitive price supplier when you are doing product research. The earlier you can get the product, the earlier you can sell on Amazon, and of course, the earlier you can make money. But I have just seen too many importers. They have their importing from China delayed for weeks and weeks because of this kind of or that kind of reasons. Some of them, they fail to catch the best time to sell the products before the Christmas. And also some of them, they fail to sell the eclipse glasses before the solar eclipse. I made 3 videos to explain what kind of potential delay that you may have during the whole process of importing products from China. This is the first video. I will share with you some useful tips to help you avoid some delay before production. If these tips are very helpful, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to us, then you won't miss the next 2 videos. Wire transfer money from America to China usually need like 1 working day, but wire transferring money from Europe to China usually need like 3 to 5 working days. The thing is, suppliers will only start producing when they receive the deposit, and they will only ship the products when they receive the balance. Even though you're sending money from America to China only need like 1 working day, but if you send the money on Friday, that means the supplier will at least receive it next Monday. So if you send the money before some Chinese holiday, and supplier, they cannot receive it a couple of days after this holiday. So many factories in China, they can still producing products during weekends and also during some holidays. So if they can get the money before the holiday or before the weekend, your products can have a couple more days for producing. So you can get your products ready to ship even a couple days earlier. What if you want to send a deposit 1 day before the holiday or on Friday, but you really want to the factory start producing immediately? Although most Chinese suppliers, they don't accept PayPal payment, but you can tell the supplier that you are going to send a 30% deposit by PayPal. And when the product is finished, you will pay the 100% balance, the full payment, by wire transfer. And when they receive the wire transfer, and they can help you return the PayPal money back. So when the supplier, they return the PayPal payment back to you, the transfer fee that PayPal charge will be also returned back to you too. So you are not losing any PayPal fee, and your products is produced immediately when you send them the deposit. When supplier gets your deposit payment and they are going to start producing, it's very normal that you want to make some small change, like you want to change the size of a logo or position of a logo, or you want to change the quantity that you ordered. For example, you change the 300 red umbrellas to 700 blue umbrellas. So at this point, the factory will put your order in the pending status because they don't know when that you can make the final decision. If the factory is very responsible, they will try to contact you almost every day to make sure if you made the final decision. If the supplier is not that responsible, they will just do nothing but wait for a couple of days until you send them the final approval for all the details. My advice for this kind of situation is try to give the supplier the final confirmation as earlier as possible, even though you are in holiday or weekend, because when they get this final confirmation, they can start producing immediately. In this case, you can avoid a couple of days unnecessary delay. A lot of people are insisting to use email to communicate with Chinese suppliers. Of course, email is definitely the best way to communicate for the business, because it has all the history recorded that you can check all the time. But what I recommend is combining email with other instant message communications like Skype, WhatsApp. There's a very big time difference between China and America. When China is at daytime, the States is at night. For example, you are discussing with the supplier about where you want to put the logo, but the Chinese supplier, they cannot reply immediately. And it will be very normal that you will get the answer another day. It's very normal that sometimes it will take one day to get only one question answered if you are using email. But if you are using Skype to communicate, some simple questions will be very quick answered by the supplier. But you can still use email to talk some very important details like the pricing, the quantity that you want to order, and the requirement for the producing. The instant message tools that I strongly recommend is Skype, because most of Chinese who are doing the international trading are using it. WhatsApp was very good to use before, but not now because it was blocked by China. So you cannot make sure that all your Chinese supplier can use VPN to access the WhatsApp server. iMessage is also a very good option if you and your supplier are using Apple devices like iPhone, and it has the best connection quality for video call and voice call among all those apps. In addition, you can also use WeChat and use it for the tool that dedicate to communicate with Chinese suppliers, because all Chinese are using it. The good thing to using WeChat is you can find a Chinese supplier anytime that you want, even it's 9 p.m. in China and your supplier is already finished work. Most of Chinese suppliers, they have very good character is that they work really hard. So if you have any question that you want to ask, they can reply you even very late at night. But a lot of people, they will not open computer to write an email when they are back home. I'm not encouraging you to disturb them when they already finished their work, because they have their own lives. But if you really have something emergency or you want some quick answers, you can still contact them on WeChat, and most of them, they will reply you very fast, and they will not separate their life and work completely.